the wildest thing you've ever seen happen in a bar? And you know it's going to have to be some, country-ass road bar or something. Right? And 866-805-4PAM, call us in with stories like that. I remember the wildest thing I ever saw. I saw two things. One, I was working in Fort Worth, Texas, doing comedy there, and I was on stage, and there was this guy, and he was being very disruptive during the show, not necessarily to me. He was just drunk and talking really loud through the whole show, and people sitting around him told him to be quiet because they couldn't hear the show. And finally, they had an off-duty cop that was doing security outside, and they asked him to come in and just ask the guy to please be quiet or he was going to have to leave. So I'm on stage doing my act, la, 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 and I see the cop come in. He walks up, he taps the guy on the shoulder, and all the cop says to him is, hey, buddy, you're going to have to keep it down. The guy pulls back, punches the cop right in the nose.
No way.
Right in the nose. And let me tell you, there were two other cops in the vicinity. That guy was hog-tied on the floor. I mean, this was like in the middle of my act. And I said, this is just like a scene out of Cops. And they
I can't be more funnier than that.
I know. That's what I said to the audience. I said, we're all going to be on TV next week. You know this is going to be on TV. And they hog-tied him. They put him down on his chest, and they, tied his feet to the back of his hands, and they just carried him like that into the cop car. And as they're carrying him, he's kicking as hard as he can.
How great is that?
And then they put him in the cop car, and it was just like that first part on Cops where he smashed his head against the window. And, I couldn't believe it. And then the other... I didn't do anything. And then
I still love him.
He was just wild. And then the other thing was, Paul and I, when we were living in California, we'd got up to, we wanted to see snow for Christmas so bad, because you live in L.A. and it's like 80 degrees every day, and it never changes. I don't even know why they have weathermen there. They spend millions of dollars on super Doppler weather to give you the exact same forecast they gave you yesterday.
All they need are birds.
That's all they need are their birds. So we drove up to Big Bear Mountain in the San Bernardino Mountains, because there's snow on that mountain. We said, we'll go up there for Christmas, like a couple of days before Christmas, and get us all in the mood. So we go up there with our friends, and we go to this little bar up there, and it's just mountain people up there. And we're sitting in there, and the bar's all decorated for Christmas. It's really quaint and nice. And we look, and some guy has called another guy into the parking lot, and they just start clubbing each other. And they just leave the guy out there, and blood is trickling into the snow. I mean, it was just that. The guy's just laying out there. They left him, and that's all we're looking at. And we're all just horrified. We look out the window and see this passed out guy just bleeding in the snow, and he's absolutely unconscious. And I just, looked at everybody else sitting at the table and said, it's beginning to look like Christmas.
Well, no, Paul, he picked up his wine, went outside to watch it. Oh, look at that.
No, the guy just took him out there and wailed on him and just left him. So and look at all these calls coming in. I knew this was going to generate a lot of calls. I knew this would. Let's go to Brian. Hi, Brian.
Hey, Pam. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. What's the wildest thing you ever seen happen in a bar?
Well, I play in a band, have for about 22 years, so you can imagine.
You've seen it all.
Weird stuff.
You've seen it all.
Yeah, unfortunately, haven't been part of much of it, thank God, but I've seen a lot. And about the weirdest thing I ever saw, I was playing down in a bar, a biker bar of all things, down in Columbia, and we showed up. This was back in the hair days, so
yeah,
you can appreciate that. We go in with our spandex and our long hair. These guys are all, in their leather and their tattoos, and they're looking at us like, oh boy, fresh meat.
Yeah, fresh meat, nice hair,
I
makeup.
resemble this story.
Yeah, I know you do. And
I tell you what, I've played up at Jeremiah's up in Charlotte before, so I know you guys know where I'm coming from. But
I was there every Friday.
And Brian, did this bar have chicken wire around the stage to protect you?
No, but it needed to.
Okay, so what happened? What was your best story?
Well, they told us when we showed up, these guys had been up partying for about 3 days straight.
Oh, man.
They're like, you guys better be good. And I'm like, oh, no pressure, no pressure.
We're going to break out our ballot.
I'm up on stage. We're in the middle of the set, and look out, and this guy had been passed out at a table since before we started. And he gets up in the middle of the show and stumbles around, pulls out his... and just decides to proceed to take a leak right in the middle of the floor.
Right in the middle of your set.
Keep in mind, my mom and dad are out there. They had to go to every show. So they're out there, and they're like, oh, my God, what in the hell have we gotten into?
We have to talk him into going back into college. This is ridiculous. So did anybody try to stop this guy? I guess not. Oh, we lost him. Golly, that's an embarrassing thing to happen. I'm thinking of more of just, Crazy Bobby. Hi, Crazy Bobby.
Hey, girlfriend, what's up?
Well, not a whole lot. How are you, buddy?
Did you ever get pipped to the pork races, hog races?
Bobby, no, because they got canceled up in Asheville because of the rain.
Yeah, just one day, though. They finished it out. But I too, used to play in a band.
You did?
Yes, ma'am. I'm a drummer.
Oh, that's right. And that's when you're not calling pig races?
Yeah, that's it.
All right.
But I'll tell you what was funny. That we played one night, and the bass player got sick. And so we played the first set with him, and he got sick, so he left.
Yep.
All right, now, he got his equipment. We told him to go on home. We'll get by without him. And
You'll discover you don't need a bass line.
Well, now, here's the funny thing. This guy was drunk.
Yeah.
And he walks up and he says, I can play.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, well, I'm going to play. Well, he was bigger than me. I wasn't going to argue with him, dude, So we let him, he picks up the guitar, and he puts it on, Pam. And just as he starts, just making this awful racket.
Right.
He couldn't,
He has no
I
idea.
reached at the back of the amplifier and kicked the guy's standby button off.
Uh-huh.
So there's nothing coming out of this amplifier.
Right.
This man stands there for 3 hours playing this bass guitar and looking for people to sign autographs for, man. I'm telling you, he thought he was the coolest thing.
So was he thinking that the sound he was hearing from the rest of the band was something that he was responsible for?
Oh, yeah, it was crazy. It was unbelievable. It was funny as hell.
I bet that was funny as hell. I had somebody crazy, Bob. That reminded me of another story. I was on stage in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Punchline, which is the club that I started at. Big club, right. Sold out Saturday night, 300 people in there. And there was a piano on stage because sometimes there's certain comics that have, they do musical parodies or things like that. And it's an old upright piano. And this old guy in the front row, I mean, he must have been, I don't know, like 70 years old. He was with his wife, and he kept saying during my act, and it was funny because I was playing with him, but he just kept saying, I can play that piano. I can play that piano. And I said, well, I don't need you to play it. I'm doing fine without you. I've been touring for a while without a piano player. He goes, I can play that thing. I can play the hair off that thing. And he just gets up, and he walks across the stage, and he sits down, and he starts playing just ragtime. That's what he was playing, just pounding on it, pounding. There was nothing I could do. And finally, the manager of the club came up and said, you got to go, Pops. He's like, I'm playing this piano, don't move me. And they literally picked him up from behind, and he was still in the sitting position with his, fingers poised above the keys, carted him off. There was nothing he could do.
I actually saw a guy knock himself out with his own guitar.
All right, wait a minute. You got to tell me that.
The lead singer was singing a song, and some guy was hitting on his wife, and he got mad, and he went to rush the guy, and he got his guitar hung up in his mic stand and knocked himself out. Fell off the stage and knocked himself cold, man.
Well, John Cougar would show bands and comics how to protect themselves from somebody rushing the stage. John Cougar Mellencamp, and there's a way, your big stand-up mic, and it's got the big platter at the bottom to hold it down.
Oh, yeah.
There's a way that you can bring that flat down so it breaks off the point at the bottom of it and it comes out like a spear.
Oh, yeah, you can. It makes a good baseball bat, too.
Well, yeah, either way. I wish we had more time for these. Crazy Bobby, thanks so much for calling.
Hey, are these calls toll-free?
No. Gotta go. Dave, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, you got a funny bar story for us?
Yeah, this was many years ago while I was still living in Kentucky, and I was at a gentleman's club, and I was sitting at a table, and
why do they call it, Dave? Why do they call it a gentleman's club? There's no gentleman there.
I was about to say, because you don't find any of them there.
No, you don't. It's just kind of a nasty, skanky guys club.
One in Kentucky, it's got to be good.
Some are a little bit better than others. So if they serve you beer in a plastic cup, don't bother going in.
Gotcha. All right, so you go into this heterosexual male club here.
Yes, go into this club, and there are these two redneck hillbilly guys, mullets and all.
Go figure.
In Kentucky?
In a strip bar?
I'm shocked.
Yeah, sitting at the table next to me, and they're getting really friendly with two or three of the entertainers.
Yes,
as they prefer to be called.
Yes,
and they didn't see their wives come in the door to the club.
Oh, wives are coming to bust them.
Both of their wives were probably twice their size. They were big women.
In Kentucky?
Yeah.
In a bar?
They walk up behind
surprised.
one of them. They walk up behind the one guy, and he's sitting across the table from the other.
Yeah.
And so the one sees him walk up to the table, and his eyes get real big, and the other guy doesn't even notice. And he's to having a good time.
Yeah.
The dancer finally notices these two big women standing behind him, and she gets up off his lap and kind of steps aside. He looks at her, and that's when his wife clubs him in the back of the head with her purse.
Oh, my gosh. It was one of those big old southern slouchy purses that she's probably got like a gym sock full of road gravel in it?
It was full of something because it knocked his head into the table and jumped up. And he didn't know it was his wife at first. He spins around and says, oh, honey, and she slaps him again and again and again, knocks him to the ground, physically drags him by one leg out the front door of the bar.
My God!
The other guy
drags him out by his
In Kentucky.
With a motorcycle.
Jumps up from the table and is trying to get away from his wife and knocks over another patron. A bouncer comes over and grabs him and helps this guy's wife escort him out the door.
Oh, my God.
And then just outside the door, you heard this ruckus. Apparently, the one woman didn't stop beating her husband until she knocked him almost unconscious.
It's like dragged him out by one leg. I don't know if I wanted to be married to a woman who could snap my spine at any moment.
She tried, I think.
I wonder what he told her.
The music had stopped. The DJ was so engrossed what was going on, he didn't catch that the song was over. We're all just sitting there like, what the hell was that?
You're like, is there a cover charge? Because that was great. I mean, that's better entertainment than any of the dancers could have done. Dave, thanks for
and a lot of the other guys, for the rest of the night, were kind of looking over towards the door to make sure no one snuck in.
Hell yeah, I bet they were. Just say, well, I told her I was out with some friends playing Scrabble.
In a bar?
In a bar.
In Kentucky?
What am I?
I'm so surprised.
More Pam Stone Show coming back next.
It's the Pam Stone Show.